Greetings, Warlords. Today we're taking a look at the Gripping Beast Arab Spearmen and Archer kit. This is probably one of their oldest sets. They haven't had any competition for the longest time, but Fireforge has finally come out with some Berber infantry. So we're going to take a look at these guys. Maybe I'll take a look at those a little later. In the box, you're going to get 8 sprues of this right here. So 5 guys per sprue is 40 models. We've got 5 very similar bodies. We've got 2 of the mask faces. Now, that's not going to be enough to cover the whole unit. We've got 5 turban style heads and then 1 actual helmet with no turban. So you've got some options there, but if you want all masks or all helmets, you're not going to be able to make it happen. We've got 2 javelin arms right here, 3 spear arms, a little horn for tootin', a sword. So there's no hand weapons. It's just going to be spears basically for these units, or the javelins. And we've got 2 bow arms, so you could do up to 16 javelins, 16 bows, but you will have to have at least a few of the spear guys. Now, we took a look at the Arab heavy cav, and especially the heavy cav set. I think there's like probably 15 or 20 extra bow arms, so I think you could get away using the bows from that set. If you wanted to do a few more archers, take it up to 24 maybe for 2 units of levy in the game of Saga, perhaps. Looking at the shields, we have 3 circles, 2 of this teardrop shape. So again, if you're going to do all melee, this is all you have for options. So pretty packed sprue, but not so much in the way of options compared to some of the other kits. Why don't we get these guys assembled? I'm going to be building 8 of these models as Blackguard. So I could use these as the historical Blackguard unit. There's a legendary unit. Or, I'm thinking using these as mercenaries, either borderers or sailors, I think would be very appropriate. I don't have a full Islamic or Arabic style army, and I would like to get one, but I'm not quite feeling the time is right for that project. So I'm just going to do a fun one-off unit that I can throw in the Saga Thursday Patreon pool. Anyways, let's jump to the quick cut. Here they are assembled. They look pretty good. Overall, it's fairly flat paint surface with the robes there. I guess I do prefer that compared to the overly wrinkly stuff of Victrix. It'll be a challenge for contrast paint, I think, but I can definitely handle it. Gotta love the masked heads, of course. The faces otherwise are looking a little ogreish, a little dated compared to some of the newer manufacturers out there. Here's one thing I didn't realize. If you're assembling all these as the melee troops, you will have to use the javelins and spears at the same time. So the javelin guys are kind of chucking overhand while the spears are underhand. For aesthetics, I guess I'd prefer them all to be the underhand spear looking guys, but variety's fine too. Alright, so I'm not quite ready to paint these guys just yet. Looking at pictures of Blackguard online, they're all wearing masks. So I'm going to use some green stuff here and try to sculpt some masks on the guys that don't have them. And yeah, hopefully it'll turn out. We'll see. So when I'm mixing my green stuff for something kind of large and flat, like a cloak, banner, something like that, I like to add a little bit of Vaseline to the mix to get it nice and smooth, not so sticky. Now this will make it quite slippery, so be careful. Oh, just dropped it right there. You definitely don't want to drop it. You don't want to pick up any particles, dirt or plastic shaving. Son of a bean, I dropped it again all the way to the carpet floor. That's all right. Should be able to salvage this. You actually want to kind of roll it out and then let the green stuff kind of cure for like an hour maybe. That way it'll hold its flat shape better as we work with it. And after that amount of time, you can actually cut it with these tiny scissors here. You can get these from your wife or girlfriend's makeup stash. That's where this one came from. So I'm cutting it in the shape that I need, and I'm going to attach it. So for cloth and stuff like that, I think less is definitely more when it comes to sculpting. Don't try to mess around doing folds and stuff like that. You're not a master sculptor, so it's probably just going to look better if you just kind of leave it flat than if you try to add the folds and stuff yourself. So on these ones, I did try to do a little bit of that to try and match the plastic mastheads, but for the most part, I like the ones where I didn't do anything a lot better than the ones where I did. And here's the bunch of them all converted up with the masks. So once I got going, it didn't take that long, maybe a half hour, 40 minutes to do the whole batch. Again, the key is to create that kind of 2D cloth surface off the model and then attach it. If you try to just put a blob of green stuff on their face and then try to smooth it out, that's not going to work in my opinion. Well, it probably would work, but it would take you an extreme amount of time to get a good result. All right, for the prime, I was actually just going to do my standard zenithal highlight, black and then white over the top of it. And then I was like, hold on, these are going to be black painted models. What am I doing here? So I actually kind of changed tactics halfway through. I did the black prime, and then I did a zenithal with graphene gray, scale 75, and then rainy gray. And doing it on the fly, I think I overdid it here. I might have made a mistake. So the underlying black is the Molotov black ink, which flows great through an airbrush, but has a slight satin finish. So if I was thinking this through, I would have used just the scale 75 matte black because that's what I'm going to use on the model. And I wouldn't have done that second highlight of rainy gray. I think that's too much. I'm going to have to tone that down. So a little bit of backtracking here with the paint jobs, but that's all right. We're just having fun. For the basing, I'm trying something new here. I've been kind of basing things the same way for like the last 20 years. So trying this dry ground texture from AK. I have worked with kind of like artist pumices in the past, and this stuff works way, way better than that. It adheres great to the model, so we'll see how that turns out. So the texture couldn't quite bridge the gap between the raised plastic the model was sitting on and the base, so I will have to do a second coat there. Otherwise, I've gone ahead and painted all the extra bits. Actually went pretty quick. Using an all black scheme, I think is going to be a time saver here. I'm using just the GW black wash to try and tone down the grays I built up earlier. But it's really just going to kind of reset the clock on this one. I'm going to have to build up the shades manually. All right, after the wash, we can see what we're starting with, and it's not great. I'd rather probably just start with pure black, to be honest, but this is what we're working with. I'm going to build up with gray graphene, another scale 75 paint. Going to hit those ridges on the bottom there, and then hit the top part of his arm. Basically all the raised bits. After that, I'm hitting the cracks with the matte black. If I just started with black, I wouldn't have to do this. So this is going to cover up the primer and the wash black. It'll make the black shades more uniform, and then we can use this same black color mixed with the gray on the next step to help with our blend. So I've jumped to half gray, half black. This step will go pretty quick. We only need this on the larger, flatter areas just to kind of help mix that black and gray into a beautiful gradient. All right, we're almost there. Just 2 more steps. I'm doing a mix of the gray graphene with rainy gray, and this is what we're going to use to highlight the raised areas. So the last highlight is going to just be pure rainy gray, and I'm kind of going to do this in 2 steps. I'm going to do a heavily saturated, real thick globby point highlight. I'm going to give that a little bit of time to dry while I go back and thin down the paint a little bit back to the usual, kind of milky consistency. And then I'll go back and sort of blend, expand that highlight a little bit. You can do little kind of dot strokes like me or not. I kind of have a love-hate relationship going on with that technique right now. I can't seem to help myself. It can certainly look cool, but it shouldn't be done all the time on everything. All right, so I'll finish these babies off, get them based up, and we'll take a look at the final unit. Overall, I'm quite happy with the result here. Up close, they're maybe not quite as polished as I usually like, but from the three foot, tabletop level, these look amazing. I'm really happy with how the masks turned out. For the texture basing, it's certainly popping. It's got some zing. I felt like I needed to dry brush it, and the only thing that I had bright enough was actually pure white. So they're really popping nicely in contrast to the dark ropes. But next time, I think I'm probably going to get a slightly darker tannish brownish color, and then something I can dry brush and highlight up to this ivory. But I don't know, you might prefer this. I think there may be something there with this black scheme. It definitely painted up real quick, and I could foresee a whole army painted like this. My good buddy Monty did the exact thing with his Mutatawia force, and you can see he used the shields to add some color, so I think that's a great idea. Speaking on the plastic kit itself, overall I'd say it's pretty good. I wish there was a few more spears in there. They're nice and sturdy. The javelins are thinner. I don't like the overhand poses mixed in, and I did have one of those javelins get bent when I accidentally dropped it. So I did push it back into place, but I think you can probably see which one it was if you look closely. If you do build up a good portion of them with the bows, then it shouldn't be an issue. You can equip them all with spears, and they should be nice and sturdy for you. So like I mentioned at the start of the video, there's actually some competition out there finally for this set. It's been quite a number of years with the Fireforge, Berber Infantry, and actually I didn't realize that was Blackguard, so that's quite appropriate. Now both those sets are more heavily armored with chainmail, so you could maybe mix and match them with your levy guys just being this set, and then your elite warriors being the other two sets. There is a price difference there. The Fireforge stuff costs almost double what the GB stuff does per model. And you're much more likely to run into the Gripping Beast stuff secondhand since it's been around so long, where the Fireforge stuff probably not going to be on the secondhand market anytime soon. Anyways, that's it for this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the review. If you have any questions about anything or comments, definitely post below. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Saga! If you'd like to see more Saga content, consider joining the Heathen Army over on Patreon, or popping on down to the Saga Thursday Discord server. Links below. Thanks, guys.